Hey everybody, Screw You here, and today I'm trying something a little bit different. What I noticed is that it is kind of hard to talk and play at the same time, and I felt like when I was recording these videos I wasn't really playing my best or giving the best commentary. So I'm going to try to do a little bit better at both by recording my game and then commentating on it after the fact, as opposed to just doing a live video of it. So let me know in the comments what you think about that, if you'd rather have hopefully better commentary or get the reactions live, whatever you prefer, and I'll consider doing those going forward. But real quick, let's take a look at this kingdom. I'm looking it over and I am deciding what to go for. I immediately see inheritance, but I think I decide that it's not really that great here. There's not a great target for it, and it's pretty easy to get rid of the estates. So the opponent has opened with a silver, and I've got the 3 coppers, and I go with the silver as well. I am going to want to hit 5 and get to a mountebank pretty quickly, but also have that in my deck so that I can get a bunch of lost cities later, because those I think are going to be pretty key. Eventually, the reason that I'm going for this big amount of draw as opposed to a more money density focused deck to get platinums and colonies, the reason I'm going for that is that the giant attack is fairly decent payload, and the mountebank attack is pretty brutal if you're vulnerable to it, and you're more vulnerable to it if you don't have a lot of draw. So I'm going to be going for these lost cities when I get the chance. And at this point, my deck and my opponents are looking about the same, the difference being that he has a lone in his deck. I'm thinking about what to do. I want to thin really quickly, especially because I have a silver gainer. So I don't really want to be putting more stop cards in the deck because I'm already going to be having the econ from the silvers that I'm getting with traders. So I decided to get a rat catcher over another silver, and I do that again. Looks like the opponent has picked up another silver. And I'm looking in the log to try to figure out exactly where things stand, try to remember what's been bought. Okay, he plays his lone and trashes a copper with it and hits 4. My guess is he's going to want a rat catcher here. He goes ahead and grabs one, yes. So I think that I'm going to go ahead and grab the rat catcher here. I don't see what else I would be doing with my deck, and I really do need to thin pretty quickly to make this deck work that I'm talking about. And he hits 6 and gets an artisan. I think the artisan is a really good card here, and I want to get one myself very soon. So I have a choice here, and that is to thin a copper or keep 6 and get that artisan. And I do think that the artisan's really good, but I don't see a rush to get one. And that's because my first 5 is going to be the mountebank, and I want to junk him really quickly. But the case for getting the artisan first would be if I thought that there was an important 5 or lower cost that was going to be split, and I really wanted to try to clutch that split out. And in retrospect, that might have happened with Lost Cities. So if him and I had been fighting more aggressively than you're going to see here over the Lost Cities, then I think that the artisan may have ended up being the better call. As it is, I do still like the mountebank because, you know, junking him with mountebank makes it less likely for him to get Lost Cities anyway, so I still like what I did, but it definitely would have been worth considering getting an artisan instead of thinning the copper. So at this point, I go ahead and trash the estate, and I know I'm going to play my mountebank anyway as opposed to the trader, so no reason not to trash the estate there. I am making sure that I look in the shuffle to see if he has his trader in hand, and I believe he played it the turn before last, so I think I'm safe there. And I get the Lost City, and decide not to react with trader to gain a silver instead. That's a pro tip. Don't do that. Okay, so he plays his artisan. Okay, this part I thought was weird. I looked at him sideways a little bit when he did this. He gets the idol, and I feel like that's definitely not your first 5. is an idol. Like, there's Lost City here, and there's Mountebank, and I think he wants the Mountebank, but he goes with the idol, and you'll see why he does that here in a second. So, spoilers, he's going to hit exactly 7. There it is. So, he got the idol, presumably so he could get inheritance. Now, he just trashed some estates out of his deck, so I'm not in love with that, and I'm not seeing a great inheritance target either. The best thing I think is Ratcatcher for the inheritance target, but it's not amazing. So he goes ahead and does do that, and he now has more Ratcatchers in his deck. He has this source of points that doesn't hurt his deck, but I think that matters like not at all because colonies are out. I go ahead and thin a little bit. And at this point, I'm trying to think about what I want my next turn to look like and how much better this turn could really be if I decide to gain a Lost City with the Artisan and play it, or something else. And I do gain the Lost City, but I decide what to top deck. And I think that I end up deciding I want next turn to be better, because what I'm going to be doing with this turn is probably just buying a Lost City anyway. So I believe I end up top decking the Lost City here. And because I can already buy a Lost City myself, so might as well have one for next turn. Second Artisan is a valid consideration here too, but I don't actually think that that would be good, especially if he's going to contest the Lost Cities. I don't think a second gainer of them is going to help me get more of them. So I am assuming that the Lost City split is kind of important here. And I believe I'm right about that. So I'm, again, looking over my options. He has his Ghost. So his Ghost is playing the Artisan, and I believe he's just going to want to gain 2 Lost Cities here, right? Lost City Mountebank. Okay, that's fair. He doesn't have a Mountebank yet, and he doesn't know that my trader is in my hand. I would have been very skeptical about gaining the Mountebank. You saw earlier I was looking at the log to make sure before I played my Mountebank that he didn't have his trader in hand. So it's not great for me because I don't really want more silvers, because the other cards in my deck are so much better than the silvers that I am really not wanting to draw them instead. But the silvers are also kind of important to be able to start colonying sooner, so, I'm fine with gaining them here. And I go ahead and thin the copper. I don't think there's any reason not to do that, so I go ahead and play the Lost Cities out. I think about maybe gaining something with Artisan and then drawing it this turn. I decide that I should probably just see what I can draw first. And at this point, I do decide to try to make the turn a little better. Maybe I don't remember exactly what I'm trying to hit here. It might be trying to get a platinum, but I might just be trying to get a Lost City, actually. Okay, no, I decide to go ahead and get the Ghost. And I hit 7. So actually, I kind of like... okay. Alright, I'm okay with what I did, given that I was going for a cemetery trash. I got to thin 3 coppers. But if I was just going to buy a Lost City instead of that, which would have been fine, by the way, I think, then I really would have wanted to top deck that Lost City previously, but I'm not too disappointed with what I ended up doing instead. So he's got 2 platinums in his deck. At this point, I really need to start worrying about him starting to colony. If he starts to put the pressure on, I need to maybe stop building and start getting points, because this isn't... there's no reliable plus buy here, so this isn't a board where you can have like a real catch-up if you start to fall behind, I think. The attacks can slow your opponent down, but it's not guaranteed to, so... good news is that I've got the Ghost in hand, and I get to top deck. So whatever I top deck here is going to get played twice. I decide that that should be the giant, and Mountebank would have been valid too, but I think that the giant will burst me along a little bit. And I think I thought I had 11 in this hand. Um, so I was kind of disappointed with not being able to get a colony. But in retrospect, I probably wanted a platinum in the deck anyway. So I'm glad you're not listening to real time Jake. I'm glad you're listening to the Jake who has the wisdom of the ages and perspective. I am older and therefore wiser, more qualified to give you commentary on this video. So he's going for Lost Cities a little bit at this point, I think, and he gets another idol as well. I think he's probably. Does he have a second one in hand? Is he about to curse me with idol? I think that the idol is actually kind of bad here because you've got plenty of terminal space with Lost Cities, and I think Mountebank is just kind of like better by a lot. He does not. I don't know why he gained the idol, but I imagine maybe he thought he was going to draw his other one and give me a curse. So at this point, I'm considering a few different things, and I played that Lost City way too quickly. I could have gotten a giant attack off on. Oh wait, no, I couldn't have. Well, I guess I'm not really punished for it. I top deck the platinum and basically guarantee platinum for next turn, or colony for next turn, and go ahead and start greening. But I definitely played those Lost Cities too fast. I might have wanted to optimize a little bit and gain and play something. So with the artisan. Okay, so he's hit 16, and he probably needs to start following suit. And he gets a Lost City too because of that plus buy, which is pretty good for him. But he probably needs to follow me and start greening because this is not a board where you can come back if you get too far behind. There's no plus buy, and there's no real source of alternate VP. I'm not counting bats as a legitimate source of VP. So I go ahead and decide to top deck something that I'm going to play twice next turn, and I decide that it's going to be the Lost City. That's the highest value I can get. I should have probably played the Mountebank before I gained the Lost City because I let him draw a card. And if that card was the curse he revealed, I kind of screwed myself over in terms of not getting to attack him. But oh well, I'm pretty far ahead at this point, so it might not matter that much. But it was a mistake. So I think he definitely needs this last Lost City. Like, that's not even a question. He is woefully behind in terms of draw, and he's got it. So what is he going to go ahead and do at this turn? I feel like he's not actually considering discarding to the Sky's Gift. He certainly shouldn't be. I don't think that gold is actually a very good card here. I don't think silver is a great card in my deck at this point either, and I'm considering trashing them. He grabs a giant of his own. Copycat. He gets to double play it with his ghost, which is pretty good for him. I'm really considering trashing some of these silvers so they don't get in the way of my higher payload cards, but I decide that they're fine in the deck anyway because they are helping me hit colony, and relying on that one platinum and the giants to hit colony is, I think, less likely. It's more likely that I dud by not having enough silver than in having to buy another platinum than dud by drawing the silver, because I have so many Lost Cities at this point, I'm not really worried about it. So I am going to go ahead and just play my attacks here. I trash his Lost City, which really hurts him because he lost that split. Look, I have 6 of those. He only got 4. He's down to 3 lost cities now, so he's going to have a really hard time doing much with his turns. He might not even hit colony every turn. And I think you need to hit colony every turn. Like, that's the bare minimum. So he trashes one of my lost cities, so, turnabout's fair play. And he's just trashing these curses, but they're certainly slowing him down. I mean, he had to draw those. He drew that instead of something else, so he's not really countering the junking by trashing it with Ratcatcher. And I decide I really need to keep the turn going here if I can. I don't know if I can, though. What do I decide to do? I think I decide to get the giant attack off. Oh, and then I'm deciding. I know I need to hit colony this turn, and I'm going to play my ghost. And Adam Horton joins the table and tries to distract me, like he often does. So screw you, Adam. So I know I need all the silvers in my hand to hit colony, and I do not want to accidentally play traitor with my ghost. That would be disastrous. So, hey, Adam. So I decided to top deck the colony and buy another one. And he points out the sick synergies between Masterpiece and Traitor, and how amazing it is that you can just flood your deck with all this silver, and you can trash the silver with Loan. All it's missing is Phaeton, and it's overpowered. Okay, back to the actual game. So I double play the Lost City, really kick off the turn. I decide whether or not to cause this shuffle. I end up doing it. Let's see. Could I have hit colony without it? So if I had not caused that shuffle, I didn't have these, I would have had 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, yeah, big mistake. I caused a terrible shuffle for myself, and I could have hit colony without doing it. I don't know why I did that. I could have hit colony and played 2 giants. That's the best turn that I can have on this board. And I decided to screw over my next couple of turns, really, by causing this terrible shuffle. So I really shouldn't have played the Lost City there. And it's costing me... I mean, you can't guarantee I would have colonied without it, but it's costing me a much better turn here, for sure. So be very wary of that. When you get to the bottom of the shuffle, really don't play as fast as I did just there. Just think about it for a second. Do I actually want to cause this? What am I doing with this turn? So a big mistake on my part. And I'm considering how to get value out of my turn regardless. I have a lot of options given how far I am ahead in points. I don't necessarily need 2 green, but I do decide, I think, I'm looking at the different payload options. I do decide to get the Duchy because I figure that time is really on my side here. If the game goes long, I think my deck is better, so I still win. So I go ahead and get the Duchy just to cement my point lead. Because obviously the only way he wins is to get these things that aren't colonies, because he's down by more than a colony and there's only 1 left. And this should be the last turn of the game, unless I get a bad draw. I don't think I do, so I giant, play that, buy the last colony, and that is GG. So, anyway, I hope you've enjoyed watching this, and I will see you next time.